Hey everybody, Ben Frederickson here alongside Dave Matter for this week's Mizzou video here at stltoday.com. Dave, the transfer portal. Everybody loves to bash it when they're losing players to it, but it's not so bad when you can get good players out of it. Dennis Gates, Eli Drinkwitz going to work at Mizzou on a couple names that Mizzou fans should be aware of. Let's start with football. What do we know about Jerry Bohannon, the Baylor transfer quarterback who led the Bears to 10 wins last year, including a win in the Sugar Bowl, but he's in the transfer portal after losing the starting job.
Yeah, pretty good player, dual threat guy, was dangerous on the ground, pretty accurate, efficient passer last year for a really good Baylor team. Now, a hamstring injury cost him, sidelined him for a couple games last year, including their victory over Oklahoma State in the Big 12 championship game. But he came back for their bowl win over Ole Miss. And for the year, put together some pretty good numbers. But Baylor, a good Big 12 program, has got another quarterback, and Dave Aranda, I think he did Bohannon a solid by making the decision now in May, last week actually, so that Bohannon could enter the portal in time before that deadline on Sunday, and now he's available to go to other schools. Kind of late in the calendar, but I guess it's never too late if you're desperate enough that you really want to add a quarterback, and it's very apparent that Missouri does, because where was Jerry Bohannon on Sunday? He was in Columbia visiting campus with Eli Drinkwitz. He was there with quarterbacks coach Bush Hamdan at the MU softball game, sold-out softball game at home, kind of just getting a feel for, the fan base and event that was going on in town. And so we'll see. I mean, he hasn't really been linked to other Power 5 programs at this point. This time of year, most teams know who's going to be their quarterback going into the season. Missouri, of course, has Brady Cook. They've got Tyler Macon. They've got Sam Horn coming as long as he doesn't take an MLB contract after the draft in July. But very clear that Drinkwitz wants an experienced guy, and Bohannon would be one.
He's still recruiting a quarterback this late in the process. Should be a sign to everybody that he's a little uncertain about the talent that he has in hand. So the lack of competition could do Mizzou a favor here, as most depth charts are pretty cut and dry by now. But Drinkwitz is still recruiting. I think Bohannon could actually fit Mizzou's style under Drinkwitz more than a guy like JT Daniels, who ended up visiting Mizzou but then goes to West Virginia. Maybe a little more mobile, maybe a little more able to stretch the pocket, maybe a little more like Jaden Daniels, not JT Daniels, who visited Mizzou but went to LSU. So we'll see if the third time is the charm for Eli Drinkwitz. How about Jermarion Sharp on the basketball side of things, Dave? This guy is 7'5". He's the tallest player in college basketball. Mizzou fans have some scar tissue there from Jordan Wilmore, who was a big, tall guy, but couldn't do much on the court. This is a different kind of story coming out of Western Kentucky, with a pretty important tie to Mizzou's new coaching staff on the basketball side under Dennis Gates.
Yeah, he's a rim protector, led the nation in block shots last year, 4.6 per game. He had more blocks than all but about 50 teams did. So that's something that he would add immediately to whoever team he goes to next. Now, he can rebound, not much of a scorer, but I don't think that's what Missouri is targeting him for. The obvious connection is Kyle Smith-Peters, Missouri's newly hired assistant coach, comes over from John A. Logan College in Carterville, Illinois, where he'd been the head coach for the last decade. And where did Sharp attend before Western Kentucky? He played for Smith-Peters at John A. Logan College. So connect the dots, and you see, how Missouri has interest here. He's a Kentucky native, so Louisville has kind of been mentioned as maybe a competitor here. Memphis has come up, but you don't find many 7'5" guys just laying around in the transfer portal at the high school level or whatever it is. So if you need some size, he is somebody worth exploring. But Missouri is going to go after him hard. And there's no set deadline now. People wonder how soon is this going to happen, if it happens. Well, now that you're in the portal, you can take some visits. You can have the spring and summer to decide. But I would think that Missouri would like to solidify this roster much sooner than later.
Two names to watch. The transfer portal takes away, but it can also give. We'll see if Drinkwitz and Gates can get their guys. Keep it locked at stltoday.com for all your Mizzou coverage. For Dave, I'm Ben. We'll talk to you next week.